Good morning, everyone. So I've traveled here from Winnipeg, which is Treaty 1 territory, homeland of the Métis Nation, and Anishinaabe, Cree, Dene, and Dakota people. And it's a real pleasure to meet you here in Red Deer. I didn't know much about this area in the traditional territory here, but I've just learned that it's the junction or the meeting point between Treaty 6 and 7 and Red Deer, and this river system that Red Deer sits on is a traditional gathering area. So it's the traditional territory of a whole bunch of nations, including Cree, Blackfoot, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Anishinaabe, Métis people, and many other nations. So it's a privilege to meet you here on this land. Part of my personal journey in learning how to be a good partner supporting Indigenous food sovereignty is about understanding the land and the history of the land. So I wanted to start and thought it was important to start with that. I'm only going to speak for a couple of minutes because the stories that you really want to hear are straight from the people who are leaders in their community and working really hard for positive community change. But I just wanted to try and set the context a little bit so you could understand that the stories that are being shared here today are stories that are some stories that are part of a larger movement that I've been privileged to see happening in northern Manitoba. So I work with the Northern Manitoba Food Culture Community Collaborative, which is a grouping of about 12 different organizations, mostly philanthropic organizations or community development organizations, that are working to try and support Indigenous food sovereignty. So the Bauta Family Initiative on Canadian Seed Security is one of those awesome 12 organizations. And what those groups do is they pool money and resources and time and energy to support Indigenous food sovereignty projects. But what we're also trying to do is do it in a way that we as settler people and settler organizations we're not just delivering help or money, but we're learning, basically. We're learning about the true history of our country. We're learning about Indigenous food systems. We're learning about seeds and the history of the seeds and some of the varieties and the food systems that sustained people on Turtle Island on North America forever since time immemorial. So it's been a real privilege for me to be part of that journey. And I'm very thankful that Carl and Jordy and Erica have made the trip here to share their stories, because when you hear it from the community members that are working really hard for change, it's I get excited and hopeful and emotional all at the same time every time. So the Northern Manitoba Food Culture Community Collaborative, we're working with roughly 27 community projects, including the two that you're going to hear about today, that are all across northern Manitoba. And I just wanted to share this picture to situate a little bit. If you're from Alberta, you're used to a province that has a road system that covers most of the province, and you can sort of get everywhere on a highway. And it's a little bit different in Manitoba. We have the bottom part of our province covered by a network of roads, and then we have one highway, Highway 6, that runs up the middle to about Thompson, and above that is pretty much fly-in. So Jordy and Erica are coming from Garden Hill First Nation, which is on this lake here, which is Island Lake. It's a huge, beautiful, beautiful lake with 3,000 islands in the lake. And around this lake, there's 4 different fly-in communities. That means they don't have year-round road access. So Garden Hill First Nation, Wasagamak, St. Teresa Point, and Red Sucker Lake. And around this lake, there's a population of about 10,000 people in that area. And they're connected by plane, and then in the winter by a very long, very slow winter road. And Carl's coming from Peguis First Nation, which is now located about here on Lake Manitoba, but was originally located just north of Winnipeg on some really beautiful farming soil, and is now located on soil that's quite good for farming, but also very, very prone to flooding. So I just wanted to situate that. We're working with communities as far north as right up here, the tip of Reindeer Lake, and also Churchill up there. So, and they're growing food, they're reclaiming traditional food systems, hunting, fishing, trapping, medicine picking, and just doing all kinds of amazing things. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, I welcome your curiosity. We have a website that tries to share the stories of what communities are doing. And I also brought, I don't have enough for everybody, but each year we put out a story sharing booklet where the communities share their stories. And so there's a page on each of these just inspiring community-led stories. I have about 10 copies, so if there are folks that would really like to get one in their hands, you're welcome to take one. And then we also have downloadable copies on our website as well. So I'm going to stop there and say it's a real pleasure to pass the mic over to Carl McCorster. He's been a teacher and an elder for me and really helped to guide and influence me as I've been learning about Indigenous food sovereignty. And you saw the giving of gifts before the presentation here. And what I've been taught by a lot of elders is that when you're asking for knowledge or when you're asking to learn something from them, you give something first, right? So that's why you were seeing some of these gifts happen before the presentation here. And I have something to give to Carl before he speaks. So I brought a little tobacco pouch for you. Tobacco is traditional for many groups as a sign of respect and thanks. And I'm not going to talk about the tobacco inside here because you can talk about it better than I can, but it's just, I really appreciate the effort that you've made to come here, and thank you for what you're going to share. And I hope that everyone enjoys hearing the stories. If you want to stay a little bit into the break, we have a couple of short video clips, but I'll let you guys know when break time is starting, okay?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, now we'll get your presentation.
Put that. All right. Good morning. Just want to acknowledge some people that have welcomed us here today, Iris especially. I guess the organizers of the workshop, the forum. So far it's been really, really good for me to come here and just to visit and talk to people, meet people, and to set in some of the sessions. Actually, I really enjoyed the seed presentation, seed gathering yesterday here, actually in this room. The people that did it was excellent. And that's something that we do want to do also in our communities, gather seed. I think it's very important. So anyway, we'll move on here. We can do this. We do have a vision that we have shared. We started this in our community about 8 years ago, and it was a collection of words that we put together from our elders and having our elders involved. So the vision is to regain and build our heritage and culture of agriculture, and that a majority of our people will regain the concept of growing their own food, that their children will continue this and provide food for all. And that's something that we had to do. When I was teaching and being involved with so many things, I never had time to try and work with my community. And through time, up till probably the late 70s, agriculture almost disappeared in our community. And one of the turning points was the flood. I don't know if you've watched national TV, but we've been on there with our floods in our community. And it affected a lot of our farmers. And you know how government works. It's been very, very slow in getting back what we lost. Actually, there's still claims today from way back that continues on. So it's been a slow process. I guess the other thing is colonization. We've lived with that. Our people has been under rule, I guess. We live in the Treaty 1 territory, and we have a treaty right to agriculture, and far as I know, and I've talked to Julie about this, is there has been an acknowledgement of that treaty right for the last 30 years. And so we have to rely on people like Julie and her funding programs and so on, people in the province, to try and get back this food security that we need. We really need it in our communities, and you're going to hear from Garden Hill also about that. So that's part of our vision, is to regain. The other word I want to use here is reconciliation. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's been spreading. There was a big movement over the last probably the 8 years or so, looking at the residential school system and what it's done to our people. I actually am a residential school survivor, and so I know where this is going and where this is coming from. So we do need to reconcile with with everyone. We need to get out and speak to people like you, let you understand where we're coming from and what we face. Okay, there's many things that we do face, and to overcome. So it's an ongoing battle. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, that's a little bit about me here. Retired teacher. Vision again is there. I do have, I have 5 children that are all out working from our community. I have 6 grandchildren, and I had good news this morning. I shared with Julie. My granddaughter is 13 years old. She's goes to school in the city, but anyway, their basketball team went to Brandon yesterday, and so I got a message this morning that they had won last night, and she scored 14 points. So that's good. She actually goes to St. Mary's Academy, which is a very high academic school in Winnipeg, and she's doing well. She's doing well. So I'm very, very proud of my Mia. A little bit of the history here. We actually started in 2011. We have 2 garden sites in Peguis, one along the river and one where we are located. We are administered by the Peguis Development Corporation, who handles anything that we need in terms of administration. Financial resource is provided by, and then these people that are involved. We also get good support from our Peguis PLE. It's Treaty Land Entitlement. We actually did get a settlement now and back for our loss of land in 1907. So we can apply for some monies there, and we do get assistance from that program, which is great. It really helps them. Garden activities, the planning calendar. Of course, I'm sure you're all familiar with gardening. The months that are coming up, May is very, very important. We do start some of our seedlings in April also. We do a few of like tomatoes and so on, start our own. Tobacco also, I will maybe speak about tobacco a bit later on. But we got a gift of tobacco through another person that visited the Hopi people, and so we got these seeds, we planted them, and they grew, and so now we have our own seed. We actually have our own seed from that plant, from those plants that we started. Yeah, mid-June, okay, planting seed, then we start the plant transplants also. That's the picture on the bottom is our tobacco pouch that we have, that we put tobacco in for gifts. Flying, I didn't want to bring any. My bag was packed, so I was hoping to bring some for a gift for people, but I at that time I just felt I shouldn't bring any, so I didn't. So anyway, that's the reason. Jumped everything. Garden care. This is some of the things that we do. One of the things that we do is invite the elders to join us. We have quite a large elders population actually in our community, and they like coming out. Like sometime in a day that I open for visits, I'll get like 55 elders or so, and they'll bring some of the grandkids and so on. So it ends up in a big gathering, and you'll see maybe in the video, if we get a chance to show you, we did video it when that was happening. Some of the things that we do, usually we'll have between 4 and 6 workers throughout the summer. It's not full time or anything like that. It's as and when required, we bring in people. A lot of the people are unemployed. They're people that maybe are getting social assistance, and get them out and try and get them back on their feet also. And the one guy on the tiller was a case that they're a very good guy that comes out and helps us. the two holding the vegetables on the bottom there, the guy on the left is my grandson, so yeah, Tori, and he was a Red River student. He come and work for us for the summer. Some of the harvest here, the various vegetables that we do get. I actually am really proud of our harvest. We've really been able to get a lot of things off the acres that we do rotate for our garden, and again, it's organic. I guess I have my own definition of being organic as an Aboriginal person. I know one of the things that I was using for control of various beetles and so on was just ashes from wood stove. I don't know if anybody sees that, but yeah, we do that. We use that and we apply that. And there was a couple other little things that we did with, but pretty well it's hard work. Keep your garden clean. Garden direction, I guess this is what we're looking ahead. Showcase that our land and soil can produce great crops. It's one of the things that we try and do in our garden site, and we've had a lot of visitors come throughout the summer, and we're so glad to welcome them to just talk about gardening and food security and to show what is possible. Okay, I can't read that, but anyway, the traditional skills and culture for sure is important. I don't know if you've seen the little picture in the book that of me in the outline there, the little book. Yeah, but I'm holding a hoe if you look at it closely, and the hoe is homemade. It's actually it's a shoulder blade of an elk for the hoe. 2 years ago, I was invited to a dig at Lockport Rapids, and Dr. Sims was heading up from the University of Manitoba. And what they were finding was actually showing that we had agriculture in Manitoba back 800 years. That was his estimate, going back 800 years. So again, I think it kind of takes away the stereotype of our people not knowing how to grow things and grow their own food. And there was actually evidence of, the three sisters, and I'm sure you're all aware of that, the things that we planted. So anyway, I made that whole with Dr. Sims's help there, and I have it at home. Neat research. This is our garden on the bottom here. You can see the one part from looking from our arbor, the garden arbor. But we are going to be part of a plant breeding program. We started with the University of Manitoba this last year. And we're developing our own potato. So hopefully that's going to work out for us. Last year we had the first plant, and this year we stored them. We actually didn't have proper storage, so I wanted to make sure it was good. And one of the farmers in Fisher Brants has very good storage, so he's keeping it for me, and so it's in good hands. Other types of seed that we would like to do is some of the list there. The beans, corn, and beet. Tobacco seed we do have. And like I said, it's too bad I didn't bring some. I would have shared a few seeds with you also. Just something about soil protection, organic, no sprays, no chemicals, and for sure that's what we do. Environmental stewardship and taking care of the land is something that we really believe in as part of this project. I think that in this time it's very difficult now to farm without the chemicals and the sprays, but there's got to be something done, I guess, about the usage and so on. I know I'm very concerned. A lot of our land is leased, and the farmers that are using it, I don't know if they respect that land. I don't know, and like in terms of how they use it and spray. And it could be affecting our water. Yep.
Are you using it to your community members or to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, not the community members. It's outside.
Okay.
Oh, there's a few community also, but outside people. Yeah. Yep. Okay, there's the arbor that we have there, one of our tractors. Plans plan a full garden site this year. Continue to work with more people. Also, we have a lot of people doing their own gardens. Last year we had assisted 26 families with their own little gardens on their property. So it's coming back after 7 years. Look at agriculture initiatives and implementation. I had a meeting with some of our farmers or landowners, and we're trying to talk to them and see what the problems are and see where can we go in the future for agriculture. Because I like I said, food security is so important for our people. I know when I was growing up, my dad was actually a bit of a farmer. We had cattle and also some farmland, and we had our own garden. And but when I look at how we ate, and I'm sure you guys that are organic farmers do the same thing, you eat a lot of your own things off the land, and I estimate that we probably ate just about regularly 80 or 85% of our food was from our own hands. And you look at today, the young people today, it's probably the opposite. They probably are hardly anything off the land now. So we need to do something about it, and that's why I'm saying food security is going to be important to our people. Okay, and then that's it for that. These guys are going to be doing their presentation. If I have time, I'd like to show you a little video of our community garden. It's good. Julie was involved with that. So with that, I'll stop there and turn it over to these guys.
I just have a question about what you do with your produce. Like,
Sorry?
what do you do with your produce? Is there something
The produce?
like for the winter months, like potatoes,
Well,
like your beans?
yeah. No, actually, we give them all out. We have a food bank. We started the food bank actually about 4 years ago, and so we get people that are on social assistance and the elders, and they come, and we'll have every Wednesday actually we invite people to come and pick, and once the harvest is on, and we also take it to the food bank. But up to this point we haven't really saved any seed or kept it over the winter. No storage, so. But hopefully we'll expand into that. But I'll turn it over, and any questions after I can also answer, okay? So, Julie.
Thank you. So we'll hear from Jordy and Erica and Robert, and then hopefully have time for a bit of questions and discussion. And there are a couple of short video clips to give you a visual sense of the places that they're talking about. So I'd like to give a little gift to, I'm going to give it to you, Erica, to thank the folks from Garden Hill for what they're about to share. And I hope you find their story very interesting and inspiring. So this is, it's one of the books about traditional plants from northern Manitoba that another elder had written. So that's for you, for what you'd like to share with us. And order-wise, are you all going to go up together? Okay, so I'll put the pictures up for you.
Hello, good morning. This is my wife Erica. I'm not much of a talking person, or well, first of all, I'm from Garden Hill. I'd like to thank the people that flew us all the way from our home. My wife wants to share something first.
Good morning, everyone. So I would, what?
Just tell me when you want me to change.
Okay, the photos we're gonna show you is what we do back home when, and this picture is when the chicks, when we get the chicks in, they fly in from to our community, And this is where we put them when they're just chicks. And here are when they are growing. This is where they go outside of the container. But in the next one. This is our moving pen. I don't really know about, maybe he could tell you.
There's chickens in there. You can see what's brown over here. We move them upwards. So that's where the chicken poops are. Where we're planning to grow more food.
Expanding our
Our garden
our garden.
every year. Who put that there?
This is end of the, well, not end of the year, but when we take care of those chickens, we harvest them. No, butcher them. And this is where we do butcher them. First, they go in the I think boiling water, the square one, and then we put them in that circle plucker. That's a plucker, and then next page. This is where we put them. We cut them out. And there's us cutting the chickens. Those are turkeys, actually. The turkeys we're cutting. And this is our chicken house, where they go outside.
As you can see, this is a shipping container inside. There's chickens there.
The next one.
Hens. That's our fish. We spread them on our gardens every beginning of the season, because our ground is just mostly clay. Because you'll see it along the pictures what we do with the fish. Right there.
And here's us spreading the fish, and that's how we fertilize our gardens. We spread them and then we till them with a tractor. Okay, next one. There's me and Sam spreading the chicken poop. Yeah, chicken poop. This is us spreading the chicken poop that's for the plants to get more healthy or whatever.
Look at the apple tree there. Just mention the apple tree.
Oh yeah, those are the apple trees there. Mhm. Started the apples
3 years ago, yeah.
3 years ago. That's when we planted them.
You put the posts so the snowmobilers didn't run over them?
Yeah. And this is the irrigation, how we water the plants, because it's not it's our community is like really dry. We never get rain, and well, hardly. Probably rains every once in a while, but not lots, but it just gets dry right away. And this is how we water our plants in the field. Irrigation. This is the fire hose that the guys use to water the rest of most of the plants out in the field anyways. And this is our greenhouse. I think those are strawberries that that I was just trying out in the greenhouse. And those are the tomatoes in the greenhouse. And the turkeys. The top of the top there is the spinach, lettuce, and spinach, lettuce. What else did I do on top there? I guess that's about it. And this is me and Sam tilling the ground. No, actually, we were tilling. The guys were planting the potatoes as we rode the tractor like that. Sam had to stand there to make the so the what's plower so it could go into the ground deeper than we wanted. And those are the other gang that are planting the potatoes. This is our peas and beans garden. And this here, the photo, we did one without fish and one with fish. The one, wait, like over here, we didn't put fish here, but we put fish over here. And seems like it's working out without fish too, or without fish.
So those were planted at the same time, right? Like
Yeah.
coincidence,
Yeah, everything was planted in the same time, all 4 boxes. And here is our beans. And the kids come every year. The kids from the school come plant their own garden, or either a transplant or give them seeds to plant. And here is when they came back to harvest their stuff that they planted. And they come every beginning of the year and then end of the year. This is the end of the year that they came. And so we as the farmers would cook up a storm for them to take with them, cook lunch for them. One time we had a supper for them. We cooked made chicken soup out of our own farm. And we grabbed all the potatoes and peas and corn and beans, lettuce and tomatoes. We would make lunch for them to take and tell their parents that they had something from the farm. And I think that is the last one. Yeah, I guess that's all the photos that I took and wanted to show you. And I will give it back to my husband.
Oh, hello again. Where I'm from is The only time we get our supplies is through Winter Road from Garden Hill and Winnipeg, and all our stuff gets to the Winter Road. Because if you use by plane, it's so expensive. What I do in the farm is I used to be a farm laborer the first year. When was that?
For the first couple of months, anyhow.
No, first couple of months, I mean. And then I got lifted up to as a farm supervisor. I guess they liked me. It's really fun. I didn't learn how to grow, or I didn't know anything about farming when I first started. And Robert's been teaching me everything about farming. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here, or I wouldn't be interested in growing food. The first year we harvest lots of potatoes, and what my wife was telling you about the fish, we use the fish as our what can I say? A secret fertilizer. But it really worked for us. Everything grew. As you can see that picture, that's kids' farm day at school, at the farm. They came to plant their seeds in the beginning, and at the end of the season, farm season. That's the almost end of the farm season. So in my reserve, we have no running water. Some places in the downtown area, it's about 4,000 people in our reserve. In our reserve, we don't have running water. We only have those water trucks. We only get our supplies through the Winter Road every winter. And if we want to go to the city in the summer, we just fly. And it's about $700 a person, just for one person. I guess that's everything, and thank you.
Do you want me to show that Winter Road clip or those short videos from the farm? You can say what's happening.
Okay, we're going to show you a short video.
You want to start with the Winter Road?
How about Robert?
Okay,
Robert's
then
gonna do.
I can show the egg house.
Yeah.
All right, here we are at the Misha farm. We're just looking out from the chicken house. I'll just pan in here, and then you can see the chickens. They're all going to be kind of sitting up there. A lot of them have gone outside. And then we'll go down here, and oh my God, look at that. There's an egg in every one of the chicken nests on the top layer. Oh, that little guy, he's just peeking in there. Oh, Minnie, if you could hold it up a little bit, and then we'll go down to the second layer. It's just like in the movies. Perfect. Brendan has been doing such an awesome job. Oh, wait a minute, I lied. Oh, no, there is an egg there. That's the feather with an egg. Okay, we'll go around here. There's Minnie, there's Brendan. Brendan's trying to hide. He can't do it.
Okay, thank you.
The rototoy one, where you guys are rototoying?
Okay, one more video. There's me. That's how we kill our fish.
There's the one of Chapman with the cedar too.
Okay. I guess one more, please.
Is there much smell from the fish? I know when I
Yeah.
use fish fertilizer on my
There's
garden.
lots of smell. There's,
Does it go away after time?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, of course.
Chapman, he's going like heck, he's planting those beans. Come on, Chapman, you can do it, Chapman, he's got the book of his mind, he's Chapman, he's
You can see the challenging soil they have to work with. So,
So,
do you want me to show the winter road? Winter road?
Sure.
thank you.
This was taken last year on the winter road. There's a University of Manitoba, or Winnipeg is doing little videos. If you go on the internet, YouTube, there's videos on there with Meacham Project, and some of this is on there. But at any rate, it's a it's an adventure, let's say, when you go on the winter road that you hope you'd make it to the other end, kind of thing. But at any rate, yeah, my name's Robert Guilford, and I have been involved with the organic world since 1987, and it's been a pretty awesome journey, to say the least. And I grew up in a small towns. There's you got the pictures up there, Julia?
I only have the pictures that they had.
No, there's on the stick there. But I been involved with the Organic Producers Association of Manitoba over the years, and also was part of work with Ralph Martin when they set up the Organic Ag Centre of Canada down in Truro, Nova Scotia. And I've been the pleasure of being involved with a lot of local food. I haven't been involved with so much with the organic world per se as much as the local food. If you go on the net, you can find Harvest Moon Local Food Initiative, and that has been a huge thing for us, getting that going over the years. This is a picture of the farm. The farmyard is in the bottom. Rock Lake is in the top part. And I went to the first organic farm symposium summer tour in North Dakota. I'm only 10 miles from the U.S. border. And I remember standing out in the field. There was Fred Kirschenman. He was an organic farmer. And he had this field of soybeans and wheat side by side. And I remember walking out in that field and just being blown away by what a beautiful crop of wheat and soybeans it was. And I remember standing there and I said to my wife after, I said, if that son of a bitch can do it, so can I. And so at any rate, that's where it started. And part of it, the prices of flax were better, but it seems once you're hooked on why you would grow food with chemicals, you're like, why would you? So at any rate, this is a little community of Clearwater, 65 people. It's been home there in a couple of years when I lived in Indonesia. This is, we started this Harvest Moon Festival to celebrate, the growing local food and whatnot. And now it's started with 50 people and now it's up to 2,500. It's just a crazy good time. One of my roles is to come up with the ship list of all the stuff to ship up for the year, be it lumber, chicken feed, just whatever, there's just, because you got to fly in anything you forget, so it's not like you just run down to Home Depot and get what you forgot. And so we load up, I transform shipping containers into either living quarters, which is going on the truck here, or hen houses. Now you can buy insulated shipping containers, for, I just checked, $6,700. And they're awesome for converting into homes, far better than insulating some. But this kind of gives you an idea. It's about 2,500 kilometers round trip. This is what we did. Went up around, you got to go up around the end of Lake Winnipeg. And there's a lake, so you can't cross if you have a big load. And so you have to go the long road, which takes another day to get around. So I had the pleasure of sleeping in my pickup truck for 4 nights in a row to make that little journey. But it was pretty cool to actually just be a part of I don't know, you kind of want to go through life feeling as though you've made a difference. And this, I don't know, I used to grow organic food, you know, put it in a container, ship it off to Europe. Didn't seem to have the warm fuzzy thing going on. But this, for me, has been really important to do and feel really good about it. The trucks, I mean, like I say, the fuel, they usually travel in convoys to get trucks up there, and they just opened last week. So fuel is, they just haul, they have huge, they call them fuel farms, where they just have a big tanks there. They store all the fuel for the whole year. This is your worst nightmare. There's a little breakdown on the road. Fortunately, all it was frozen fuel lines, and so, or air lines, and so all we had to do was add some alcohol, and we managed to get going again. This is the hotel we stayed in. Beautiful spot on the road. These roads can be pretty crappy sometimes. Last year was pretty scary when they hadn't been plowed, and they'd had about 6 inches of snow. And so when you met somebody, I remember just being on pins and needles when you'd meet somebody, thinking how you were gonna get by. But it's a couple of friends of mine that drive the trucks, and you know, we stick together on that road, and it really made it, and it was all good. This is how we unload it. It's very high tech. Hook onto the back of it and yank it off. One time we couldn't get the payloader, wasn't around, and so I had to tie a chain from the payload, from the bottom corner of the shipping container on the truck to the top corner on the shipping container that was already sitting on the ground, and then just drive the truck ahead and yank it off. So you get pretty creative. The cool part is you just push some snow in underneath it, and so when it lands, it's just this big poof, and then the snow melts in the spring, of course, and settles down on the ground, and away you go. But this is what it looked like when I first started this little project 3 years ago. I didn't have a hot clue what I was walking into, to be perfectly honest. But at any rate, these shipping containers, it's like a farm in a box idea, and you just pack everything in there and hope you got it all, and see what happens in the spring. So yeah, we built the sort of the processing summer kitchen thing off the one side of the shipping container, and then the greenhouse off the other side. And then we brought up another shipping container for the chickens, and the one side is sort of a greenhouse, whatever area, so they go outside and run in the wintertime under cover of the plastic, and then in the summer be on the north side in a little screened in area where the ravens and eagles and vultures can't get them. And this is home away from home. But trying to get it so it's sort of off the grid. There's a water tank in the back. I really quite enjoyed designing these little things, and some of you have heard of the tiny home idea. Well, we definitely are into that. So that kind of gives you an idea of the layout. That's the greenhouse with the water tank on top. So we try to avoid having to worry about pumps, and so the truck comes with the water, and we fill that water tank up top, and so it's just gravity. And we also have one on another tank that's just lake water that's way up on the hill, that we pump up from the water, or from the lake, I should say. And so we use that for irrigating all the gardens and chicken house. And so that's the penthouse suite up there. That's the tank you can see. Works out pretty awesome for the drip irrigation. We can just use the gravity, no pump. Except when we do the fire hose thing, then we fire up the little pump there to get it so we can cover some ground in a hurry. But yeah, I mean, for me, when I started with sort of some students from the university, and they're really pushing to take fertilizer up there. And I'm like, what the hell's the sense in taking fertilizer up there? I mean, who's going to pay for it, sort of thing, you know? So when we came up with this they had a little plot there with that you saw in the picture with the corn that without fertilizer, without fish, was about this tall, and about this tall with corn. It's She's like, well, this makes perfect sense. Here we are. We got the fish plant there, all the guts that normally are just chucked out. You can use it here for the gardens, and so yeah, it's been pretty cool. That's pretty much it. And
So, thank you, Robert.
yeah,
We wanted to show, it's 3 minutes at the front end and 3 minutes at the back end of a short video that talks about the Peguis project and a few other Northern Manitoba projects. We're just a couple of minutes getting right up to the break time, so we'll show that 6-minute video, and then if anyone wants to go ahead and take care of yourself on break, or if you want to stay and have a little bit more conversation with folks, that would be welcome. So this is it's a video that was made to try and show off the good news stories of all these things that communities are doing all over Northern Manitoba. It features 5 communities, but we'll just show the intro and then the bit on Peguis.
Communities in northern Manitoba are working to reconnect with and strengthen their local food systems and economies. Faced with high food costs and health issues related to poor diets, communities are taking action by growing vegetables, raising livestock, and harvesting wild foods. And they're educating young people, digging deep into ancestral roots and reigniting traditional skills. Whether it's fish or fowl or carrots or beans, these communities are rebuilding programs and traditions for sharing and selling food.
We're potato eaters here. We love our potatoes. It goes back to our history. Our people grew them from way back.
This is why people love potatoes. Look at these things. They're beautiful. Cucumbers cut up with onions, and you put vinegar on them. It's all fresh from the garden.
So I'd say the favorite vegetable I picked here this year were the green beans, and they tasted really good with the new potatoes out of the garden.
Personally, I like chicken breasts that are boiled in tomato juice.
I think my favorite vegetable is carrot. Glazed with a little bit of honey and butter and with parsley.
One story, when we came in to get vegetables here one evening, driving home, the kids started fighting in the back seat. I turn around and they're fighting over the peas. What kind of kids fight over peas? Just show the big difference of what the kids can start enjoying if they're given the opportunity to.
Can we call ourselves a nation without food security? We can't. There's no such thing as a nation without food security. So we need to do this. We need to start producing our own food. You can give a man a fish and he'll eat for one day. But if you teach him to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. And I think that's the same thing with our gardening project.
It gives us back, some of our dignity that we lost, and it also enhances our health, a program like this, being able to access the wild food that we're accustomed to, that helps a great deal.
I think one of the most important things in the world is that people have good, healthy food and they have access to it. Really is the basis for building good communities. Access to healthy food here, it is a problem in that it may not be as expensive as a lot of places, but most people aren't making very much money, or they're on income assistance or something like that. So the amount of money that they have coming in versus the amount of money they have to purchase food, it's not balanced.
We do have our problems, and like a lot of First Nations, we also have people with diabetes. And there's, of course, a lot of other sicknesses that go along with this. And the whole picture of health in our communities has to do with eating healthy.
It seems a lot of our elders are getting diabetes from processed food, soft drinks, sugar.
In a Pasquia Cree Nation, nearly 40 families work together learning to plant and tend a garden and how to process garden foods. People plan to expand the garden so more families can participate, and to build a summer kitchen and play oven beside the main garden. Peguis First Nation has a rich history of agriculture, and community members are reawakening those food traditions. There's a 7-acre farm, and food is shared within the community, and sometimes sold at local markets.
Peguis is a large reserve. We've been here over 100 years now, and we were an agricultural people also. For the last 4 or 5 years now, we've been, I guess, trying to bring back use of land, getting our people back on the land. And some people don't realize what potential we have in raising a lot of our own food. By doing this, having a community garden, I think this is really promoting it.
Kids, if my mom used to come and help in the community garden, get some fresh veggies. We are situated in our community garden, which is the center of our community. They plant and they come back and they help us harvest what we planted, and it's been really interesting and something that's bringing back that tradition to our community.
To me, it's part of our heritage and culture to grow things, take things off the land, gathering, and so we want to promote that again. And this idea of having a community garden is just one small part of it.
That's what our people did, was they lived off the land, and I think that we're just continuing it with what was taught to us in the past.